He's telling us, be careful not to ignore those who are less fortunate, poor, or oppressed, because God says such thinking is just plain evil. Those are kind of some harsh words. I don't like to think of myself as evil, do you? But he's saying that when we ignore those who are less fortunate or poor or oppressed, that such thinking is just plain evil. Look at verses 3 and 4. And if you pay attention to the one who wears the fine clothing and say, you sit here in a good place, while you say to the poor man, you stand over there or sit down at my feet, have you not then made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? This is kind of convicting. I was convicted because we all tend to honor and respect the people that look put together. Have you ever noticed that we tend to just be more respectful of them, more honoring toward them, but God wants us to notice the people who are poor and oppressed because he cares deeply about the afflicted and the oppressed. Psalm 107, verse 17 says, you hear, O Lord, the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed. God has such a heart for the downtrodden, the oppressed, the afflicted. And oppression in today's society might look a little different than it did back then. I think in today's society, in today's culture, in America, the oppressed might be, yes, people who are financially poor, but also those who struggle with mental illness or depression or chronic anxiety that's debilitating, or maybe deep loneliness would be another one, or just overwhelming insecurity, or maybe a debilitating health condition. Like all of those things can cause a person to be oppressed and afflicted, right? And God is saying, don't treat those people who are struggling as though they're invisible. He says, I see them, I care about them, and I need you to be my representative in showing them compassion and mercy. Think about a time when maybe you were unpopular, maybe you were never unpopular, maybe you were always in the, popular crowd at school, right? I won't make you raise your hand. Either way. But I will just admit to you that one of my most horrific memories, not the most horrific, but one of my horrible memories from childhood was I was never athletic. All of you probably are super athletes, but I did not have an athletic bone in my body. I still, to this day, even when I was a teenager, I could never do a cartwheel. I just couldn't do it. I just have no concept. Anyway, so I was the worst athlete. And back in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but they would pick teams to do, like in PE, you'd have to pick teams. That is the worst experience for a person like myself because you're waiting, everyone else is getting called. You're like, please let me not be the last one. Please, Lord, please, not the last one. And I always be so excited if I was the second to last one because and you know what's sad? Is I was only thinking about myself. I never even thought about the girl who was picked after me, the last one, because I was just concerned that I would be the last one, right? Oh, yeah, but think about that. Think about that time when maybe you were unpopular or felt invisible. And God's saying, I want you to embrace those who look different than you, who maybe have a different financial status. I want you to be a blessing to them, to include people that look different than you, that have a different socioeconomic status than you, that maybe have a different skin color than you, that maybe have a different ethnicity than you, that, they're just to embrace people that are different from you. So I want you to pause right now and ask the Lord to bring to mind someone you know, someone in your sphere, could be a coworker, could be the neighbor, could be someone in your own family, I don't know. But pause and ask the Lord to bring to mind someone you know who is oppressed in some way. Oppressed in some way. Maybe they're struggling financially, or relationally, or mentally, or physically. Just pause and think of who that person is that God's bringing to mind. And I want you to pause again and ask the Lord, what could I do? What do you want me to do to be your representative to that person? To show them that you see and you care. That I see and I care.